Cool. So we are going to go over the coffee shop object relations code challenge, and this is the one without SQL alchemy because you know we didn't do that. So um, I sent you all the link this morning. Did you get a chance to take a shot at it? How did we feel? Like 1 to 5 in chat. 5, awesome. 1, great. 2, also good. Awesome, good, good, good. So that means we get to do some work. Awesome. So I think so. Before we jump in, do y'all have any specific questions or anything in there that was confusing or that you'd like to go over before we start?
Yeah, other than the fact that it seems like the tests just kind of decide if they want to pass or not. I I mean, it doesn't seem like that everything seems to be working based on the tests that I'm running. It's just the tests that the thing is running are saying no, 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 you're failing the code challenge. So
Awesome. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been talking back and forth with the curriculum team a little bit today and asking specifically about the tests, and they insist they work. So let's find out.
I do have a question. This is very general and probably like an entire like paradigm mindset sort of issue, but I for the life of me cannot understand how we could have a coffee object that references an order,
Mhm.
a customer object that also references an order, and then the order object that references both of those without having a circular import problem,
Hmm.
essentially.
Okay.
I'm hitting the circular import problem too, and I try to do the imports.
Oh,
I had to like change how they had the import set up in the file in order to get it to work. And then even then it's still failing. I don't know if it's failing because of the import issue or what. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. It's just it seems like it should be working, but
did anyone come across that and figure out how to get it working?
I
Nope.
didn't have to change any of the imports or anything.
Oh,
Me
cool.
either.
Sweet. So if we come up across that, well, y'all can help us get through it. And if we don't, we can see what's different between this one and the ones that y'all had that were having a hard time. Cool, cool, cool. Lots of stuff to do. What else? Anything else we want to take a look at specifically? Awesome. I am gonna go ahead and share my screen here and get everything in the right place. Cool. So here's our challenge. We so I don't even know if they talk about domains in the curriculum anymore. The domain is just like the stuff that you're writing code about. In this case, we're modeling a coffee shop with coffee, customer, and order. Customers are going to make orders for coffee, and coffee is going to go to customers with orders. And so this is the same kind of relationship that you're going to see on the code challenge. This being a code challenge practice, it's pretty much always going to be that many to many of doctor, patient, and appointment, or I forget what else there is, but stuff like that. Author, publisher, book, I guess. Is that right? Yeah, let's say that's right. Anyway, so for our purposes here, and there's usually a fun little diagram, and I can't see pictures in my head, but I can see relationships pretty well. So basically it's a little V triangle. Coffee has many orders. A customer has many orders, and order belongs to a customer and a coffee. So basically that picture looks like it's got the order on top, a little box that says order, and then 2 lines. One side is connected to a box that says coffee. One side is connected to a box that says customer. So if we have a customer, we should be able to find their orders and the coffees through that orders. If we have a coffee, we should be able to find the order and then the customer through that order. That makes coffee to customer a many to many relationship. There are many different coffees and many different customers, and there's can be any amounts of connections between them. Cool. So I did my pip-emb install before we started, so don't have to watch me do that. I actually didn't have PyTest installed here. I don't know if I installed it in a virtual environment or something, but it should be working now. We'll see when we get to it.
Actually, in regards to PyTest, I asked my brother for help. He's a data scientist, so he's like familiar with VS Code and everything. But he recommended I try to use the like inbuilt testing GUI on VS Code instead of running it through the command line. But I could not get that to work. Whenever I tried to do it, it would give me an error saying tests not found. Like it wouldn't find any tests.
Yeah, and that's possible. Yeah, I think the way this is set up, so there's no what's it called? The test file, the pytest dot. Oh, there it is. No, I'm lying. Right there. There's the Python stuff. There's the testing. Yeah. I've never used the in VS Code tools. I don't know if it requires an additional setup. That's an interesting to check out.
If you click on the flask on the left side, that's the testing on the sidebar. Yeah.
Cool.
And configure PyTest.
Test.
And then it just gives root directory and lib.
Yeah. So
and then PyTest discovery error. That's what I get. That's the exact same thing that happens to me.
Cool. I will I'm gonna take a screenshot of that, and I'll take a look at that because that seems super handy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm just used to running stuff in the command line, so yeah, IDEs come and go, so it's hard to keep up with everything. Awesome. Thanks for pointing that out. So let's see. Yeah. So we have everything installed here. We want to build out all of the things it's asking for in the deliverables. I'm gonna try and run the tests as we go along, but if we don't get the tests working and we decide that it's working anyway, we'll debug the tests at the end. So let's take a look at what we have here. So this is just basic object setup stuff. We've got a bunch of initializers for each one, and it looks like so each one will have a name. The order is going to have a price, and the order is going to be keeping track of which one has which there. Great. So let's walk through this one. I'm actually gonna make a copy of this so I can look at it over here too. Computers work. There we go. Cool. So let's take a look at our code. Here's our classes, and so let's take a look at the coffee one first. So that initializer is set up for us. It's importing order. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we have a class or a instance property. Yeah, an instance property that is initialized with a name. Should not be able to change. We don't be able to change after this. Interesting. Have I looked at that before? I was going to do it in interesting. Yep. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about this. We don't need pass anymore. So we did a little bit like this yesterday. What do we, how do we want to add the name to the coffee objects?
So the way I implemented this was as adding it here as self._name as a protected attribute,
Mhm.
and then going through the property getter and setter definitions below hand.
So doing you tell me how you're gonna do that.
So I mean, I don't know if anyone else actually used the has attribute
Mhm.
setting, but what I did was I just defined get name as return self._name, and then set name I just set that to pass because you're not supposed to be able to change it after initialization, and then name equals property get name set name. Because if you don't add a setter, it throws an exception saying there's no setter, even though you're not supposed to have a setter because it's not supposed to change.
So pass. And then tell me about your get. What does that look like?
Name equals like no underscore, yeah, equals property, open paren, get name, comma, set name.
Cool. Did that work for you?
The test pass.
Cool. Let's see if the test pass here. Can I run the test individually? Maybe. I'm gonna try. I haven't tried running the test one at a time. Run lib. Coffee. Nope, I need to run the whole thing. Okay, cool. Didn't get any green up there at all. Yeah, initialize with the name. Enter. Cannot change the name of the coffee. Fails with that. What are we doing wrong here?
Does it just think you can change the name of the coffee? Oh, there's no if statement to stop you from just declaring a new name. So there's, for instance, saying coffee.name
Mm-hmm.
equals this. There's nothing to stop you from doing that, right?
Right.
But that I thought that from what I understood of the property function essentially is that it overrides the standard property setting and getting functions within Python within the code to use the specific functions you pass. So in this case, because set name isn't doing anything, when you try to do self.name with no underscore equals something new, it would run the set name function and do nothing and not change the name.
Yep.
Can we see what the error is? Like if you scroll down a little bit, can we see what the exception is there? Type error set name takes one positional argument, but two were given.
Oh, add a set name self comma name.
There we go. Yeah. So it's gonna want both of those, even though it's not using both of them. I don't know if it gives a warning if you're not using the thing. But that makes that test pass. Oh, I hate that. my bones hate that.
I don't like it either.
Yeah, I wonder if we should do like name. Great.
This doesn't pass at all for me.
Really? What's your error?
Let's see, let me scroll up. Attribute coffee object has no attribute name.
So how is yours differing from what we see here?
I don't see anything different.
Read that error to me again. Or can you paste it in the chat?
Yeah.
Coffee object has no attribute name. That's correct.
Do you have the underscores in the right place?
Yeah. My code is the exact same.
Is it saved?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hold on. No, this is an indent problem.
Okay.
Oh, I hate it so much.
Yeah, I hate that a lot.
The worst. It's elegant.
Why? How come we're passing the type string test if we haven't put any like way to check that it's a string?
That's a good question. Let's take a look at how it is testing it. Let's take a look at how it's testing it. Coffee test. Yeah, so I bet if you didn't, if you sent that a number, I bet that would fail. Yeah, so it's only passing because they're passing in a string. There's no way that I know, which is not a lot, in Python that lets you check for type like that. You could, in theory, when in set name, say set name. No, I guess it's not even gonna call that, is it? Yeah, it should just say that. Yeah,
So
so
one,
you can put a check in there, maybe that's, but it's gonna bypass that. So yeah, you'd have to throw an exception or something. There's no nice built-in way to check for type like that though in Python.
I did it in the init. I did if type parentheses name equals str,
Hmm.
then self dot name equals name, else like print an error.
Oh yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's not nice though.
yeah, I was gonna say, I thought you weren't generally allowed to use like conditionals and stuff in it.
Oh, and it's
You should
just
have those defined as separate like methods.
it's
that
just
you-
code, so you can have do whatever you want. Yeah, I mean, it's literally just Python code, so you can put whatever code you like in there. Some a proper language would say like something like that in your. It's not giving me an error though. Why isn't it giving me an error? It should give me an error.
I thought you could do that.
Can
Like, to specify in the init that a given input should be a given type. Because
well,
I did that in my order.
let's see what happens if I wonder if it's gonna bomb out if we have it pass a number here. Oh, Python. Yeah, that fails. Does it give us an interesting error? False. Yeah, no, I don't know exactly how Python handles that actually. That's an interesting research topic though. For now, I'm just gonna leave it like that as a reminder. Yeah, doing it with conditional is totally a way to do it. But since the test only checks whether you put a string in and string out and doesn't check for like an error or an exception when you pass in something else, the test pass. So it's up to whoever's writing the test to write a better test. I would hope there'd be better tests, but there's not. So cool. I think that passes all our requirements for name. What was the yeah, there we go. The challenge says hint has atter, and as far as I know, that's just to return true or false if that attribute exists. I don't know why it says that. Interesting. Cool. So any questions about any of this stuff?
One way I theorized I could use the has attribute function is actually include that in the set name as like if not has attribute self dot name, then set self dot name equals name, else pass or throw an exception or something. But that caused a recursion error.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's going to want to set it and it's using that setter to set it again, and so it's going to be an infinite little loop there.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm curious about the type checking here. Let me Google so I remember to go back and look at type checking. That's for later on. Awesome. So the other end of that triangle should be pretty much the same, except we're going to do a little bit of checking on the length of the customer name for some reason. So let's see. Here's customer. Great. So just like we had our coffee here, customer also has a name. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the stuff we were talking about here. And I'm going to want to put a check there, I think. And should not be able to. Oops, it doesn't say you shouldn't be able to change the name of the customer. Fascinating. Customer property. Weird, so weird. Cool. I'm just going to not do anything there then and see what the tests say. If it's checking for that, it doesn't say. Does it not? Does
You
it
might
just?
have to take out the underscore because I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
sure it checks specifically for yeah.
That's it. It's like, does it just bomb out? Is there any green down there? No. Does PyTest just bomb out when it hits a fail? I don't know. I do not know. Customer. Oh no, there it is, green. Oh, it's the tiny, tiny little dot there is green, but the big number over here is red. Oh well. So those pass. And it specifically is checking for the customer name can be changed. Cool. Customer and customer name is a string. It's failing that. Cool. So here's where we want to do our checks, right? So it's looking at, if we look in the tests, it is trying to set it to 1, and that's where it fails. So let's let's play with that. So I have some ideas about how to make that work. What ideas do you have? Or how did you get that to pass? If you did anyone get that to pass?
So I set that. I mean, I guess I could go again.
Yeah.
I did the same property thing here.
Yep.
Except instead of just passing on the set name, I had a logic in there.
Yeah.
To check for if it's a string in the length.
Yeah. So we're gonna not open a new file. So we're gonna do the same stuff we did here. We're gonna have get name, set name. Only here we're going to actually return the name. Get name. And we're gonna do that the right thing there. And our set name is actually going to set it. I'm going to do the same thing here with the name equals property. In fact, I'm just going to copy paste that because it's the same thing. Cool. So this is going to pass the well, it's not going to pass anything. It's going to do the same thing here. Let's just make sure we didn't break anything since we refactored that. And there's our tiny little green dot. Cool. So to check to see if it's a string between 1 and 15 characters, where do we want to put that?
In the setter.
Mm-hmm.
So I did if statement to check if it's a string. So type name equals str and one more than 1 or equal to 1. Wait, length of name.
Just did an and. Oops, that's not an and.
Oh, and in like and in like A and D.
Oh, and yeah, right.
It's Python.
It's Python. And say that again.
1 more or equal to, and then length name and then less than or equal to 15.
Yeah.
The symbol, wait, it's 1 or no, less than 1.
Yeah.
Or equal to 1. Yeah.
Yes. Cool. So this is an interesting Python construction. Most languages don't let you do that. This is the thing I like. So chalk one up there.
I was gonna say I didn't think that syntax was valid.
That's
nice.
In most languages, it's not. Cool. So that passes all of those tests. Yeah, Python has a specific audience. Let's say. Cool. So I think that passes all the basic tests there for our customer. Any questions about that? And if you didn't say len name, I totally would have typed name.length first and gotten an error. But I didn't. Cool. Let's take a look at orders then. So order. So orders are going to be, put it up here so everyone can see. Orders are going to be initialized with a customer, a coffee, and a price. So we're taking in a customer object, a coffee object, and a price, which is a number. So let's go ahead and set up that initialization. I'm going to just do properties for starters. So slef. This is customer coffee price, I think it was. So self dot customer equals customer.
I think that's a comma in self customer.
Is it? There we go. Thank you. Cool. So that does those things. Let's go ahead and do the price one. That should be pretty straightforward. So, and we're just going to return what do we want to return here? Self price.
Self dot underscore price.
Yeah. And does it say that it doesn't say that it shouldn't return. I'm going to see if this test pass or not. I don't know, 50-50. We'll find out. Order is a price. Great. Yeah, we don't have to do all that rigmarole there. It looks like the price can change at any time. Give them a discount. Cool. If it's not the requirements, don't bother doing it. Awesome. So that was super easy. And so this is kind of our join class. What do they call it? Yeah, this is our central class for our relationships here. Price must be a number between 1 and 10 inclusive, though. Haha. Which is it checking for that? I don't see it checking for that. 1 as price. 10. Yeah, it doesn't check for that. So you know what? I'm not going to do it. But we know that we can do it with our we can do it the same way we did here. But since it's not asking us to, I'm going to leave it the way it is because that is not interesting because we already did it. Sweet. If this was an actual code challenge, even if the tests aren't checking for it, I would probably look for it because I'm going off of the deliverables, not the tests. And if the tests are not written correctly, I don't think I would immediately fail anyone for that. I would probably say, hey, I know the tests are passing, but let's check this out. Yeah. I'll hope the tests are written properly. I'll double check it. Cool. Any questions about any of this here? So any conceptual questions about how order is sitting in the middle here? Feels good.
Does this supposed to pass the like object has no attribute orders thing? Because
Which one?
coffee and copy has many orders.
Yeah, we haven't set that part up yet. Cool. In fact, that is the next part. So we can do it over here so everyone can see it. So here are our yeah, here's our relationship models, relationship methods and properties. So let's start off with order. Since it's in the middle, it's probably going to be the easier one to do. Order has property customer. It's going to return the customer object for that order, and it must be of type customer. Order property coffee returns coffee object for that order, must be of type coffee. Hey, look at that. We already did it. So this is the easiest one because the order is the one that knows what everything is. So just by setting it up the way they ask, that's going to pass those tests.
Could you show me that one more time? I'm sorry. I think I looked away at the wrong moment looking at my code over here.
Yeah. So review has a coffee. Review. Why does it say review? What does that mean? Sorry. That's probably a typo. That should not say review. That should say order. So yeah, so basically it is checking to see if in our requirements here, if the order has a property customer that has customer in it, order has property coffee that has coffee in it. It's not testing for the fact that it must be customer or coffee. Again, we would handle that in a setter. If you pass the coffee, it's going to give you a coffee. In a real application, you would probably want to put those checks in just so, because you have, ideally, if you're using this in a, probably, I think it is. If you, what was I saying? If you're making this class for your own use, it's easy because, Python is kind of loosey-goosey with types. It's easy to pass in a thing that you don't intend to pass in. And it would be nice if that threw an error instead of failing silently or failing in another way down the road. So putting those checks in just enforces that that interface that you've promised. We've said that customer is going to be a customer, so let's make sure that it can only be a customer. And again, there's not a built-in way to do that easily, to my knowledge, which is limited. But yeah, we can do that. But the tests aren't checking for it. I trust that we're going to put customers and coffees in here. So, and that we already did that, so it's not interesting. So, any other questions about that part there? All right. So next bit is the coffee. So we want the coffee to return a list of orders. And that's going to return a list of all the orders for that coffee. Now, this is, we can see it is a class method, right? Is that? No, it's not. That one's not. That is a interesting. That is a instance method that is going to. That's so confusingly written there. Yeah. So let's look at the tests because I think I know what they want, but so this is on coffee. I think I know what they want, but I don't think that is written clearly. Has many customers. Yeah, so it is looking for the instance method. It could just as easily be, okay, instance method. So for a given coffee, we want to check out all the people who have ordered that coffee and all the orders for that coffee. So what do we feel like that looks like? First, did anyone get that working?
I mean, I got it. It looks like it's working when I run tests in my console. This is where it kind of runs into the thing because I can, for example, create some orders and enter them in, and they populate a list that's based in coffee that's named orders, self.orders. Basically, I started with an empty list, self.orders equals empty list. And then when I do that instance of coffee. So in my case, it's just named cafe. Cafe.orders shows me a list with as many orders in it as I called for it.
Mhm.
So that sounds like it should be working, but I'm getting a type error when I try to. All of my tests show a type error. It
Are you-
says object is not callable. It says type error
Yes.
list object is not callable.
Yes. So this happened to me. What they're doing, the test is calling.
It's calling them like they're
The,
functions, right?
Yeah, it's calling them as a method. So the way I got around this was I had the attribute as order list, and then whenever I initialized a new order object, I just appended the order to the list, and then the orders method just returns that list.
Oh,
That
so you
makes
made
sense.
you made an orders method that returns the list
Yeah,
inside of coffee.
Yes.
yeah, and that's what I was looking for there.
Okay, yeah, I don't. That might have been okay. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I guess it's. I think it's worded a little silly, but it makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, yeah. I'm. Let me. Well, go ahead, continue, and I'll see if that fixes all my problems I've ever had.
Cool. So Eric, do you want to talk through how you did that again, just so we can see?
Yeah. So I will preface this by saying this is probably the wrong way to do it, but I swapped the import order. So I'm importing coffee and customer into order. And then within order, the initialization, I have it as here. I'll just so right now I have self.order list equals an empty list in the coffee class.
Mhm.
And then in the order class, I have in the init method customer.orderlist.append self.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I like that. So let me walk through and see if I understand what you're saying. And then yeah, we'll see if it works. So basically, when we create an order, that is going to add the order itself to the coffee instance that we're passing in here. So when we pass in a coffee, it's going to call a method on this coffee to add itself to the order list in that coffee. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. I think I agree with that. So let's see if we can make it work. So
Actually, do I need to import coffee into order to get that to work?
you don't, because
Oh.
encapsulation part of our objects, the methods live on the objects themselves. So you can, if you have the object, you can call a method on it. It's pretty nice, and that's just a general OOP principle. So let's see if we can make this work. So on our coffee, excuse me, got all sorts of stuff going on. So we're setting else self. I'm going to do orders like that, orders, and make an empty list there. So I'm going to make another. I wonder if that. I'm just going to use it there. I don't think Ruby does an implicit return at the end. I believe that Python does not, but we're not doing Ruby, so I think name should work there. So I'm going to define, and this is kind of, I'm going to make it well, I'll make a private quote. It doesn't matter if it's private or public. It should be public, I guess. Set order, add order, self, and order. No, why did you do that? And so here I'm just going to say self orders order. Cool. And then I'm just going to do a I guess I could do the property thing.
Does push work in Python?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I don't believe it does. I'm so mad about it. Yeah, it should. I don't think it does. I think I'm not going, because we want to return a list of all the orders for that type. it doesn't say not to be able to set it, so I'm just going to do it this way. So it should be able to just get our list there. Yeah, let's say that. And so when we want to add the order, we're just going to say coffee, add order self. Nope, no semicolons because we're elegant. I feel like that's going to work. I'm about 65% sure. We'll find out. Let's see. Here is coffee. Coffee has many orders. Failed. Okay, so what did we get instead?
We have to import coffee in the order file.
I don't think so because
You never actually implemented the orders method.
did we
You
not?
never defined the orders method
the
in
orders?
coffee.
Oh, I just added it as a property, so it should just get it.
The test assertion is calling it as a method. And so
Oh,
it's expecting
method.
the
Yes,
list
yes.
to be a method.
I did the exact thing. That I just talked.
I should note that I implemented what Eric said and it absolutely fixed it like immediately. So yeah, that's exactly the problem, is expecting a method.
I was just pointing out in the requirements that it was a method, and then I totally spaced it. Didn't hold things in my memory about 20 seconds if I'm lucky. So let's just say orders. So, and so we'll keep that private and return orders. Self orders. There. Underscore. Thank you. Reading the deliverables is a good idea. Here we go. Here's the many orders and type orders. Cool. So now here comes the, I think, trickiest part here is the looking at the orders of the, the customers of the, we're getting the orders. We want to return a list of all the customers who have ordered a particular coffee. So we can get the orders, and each order has a customer. So since we can get the list of orders and the orders have the customers on them, let me put the function definition in first so we don't forget. How do we want to get all of those customers out of all those orders? I have a couple ideas, but I'm interested in hearing what you got.
You would just loop through the orders method, right?
Tell me more.
So you'd be like for order, like in self.orders with like the method, and then you loop through it, like looking for the order.customer.
So what am I doing here?
Well, it would just be self.orders. You have to call the method, right, with the parentheses.
Oh yeah, you can do the same thing. Yeah. So orders.
Then it would be like if order.customer not in, or actually I made like an empty list and that was appending it to it, like if it was in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if order in list, let's call it something else. Or call it
It's like order.customer, right? Because you're looking for the customer.
Customer list. Customer list, then customer.
Not in, right? If order
Yeah.
Not in,
I think
yes.
it's not in.
Otherwise, we'll never get anything in there.
order dot customer instead of order in line 23.
Order if order dot customer. Yes, thank you. Not in append order dot customer.
Yeah.
Cool. And then we return order list, I guess, or customer list. That sound right? Cool. Let's see if that passes. Hey, look at that. It works. I'm curious. So this is great. I like this. There are better looking ways to do it, I guess. Did anyone do this a different way?
It would be like a list comprehension, right?
I suppose you could maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not good enough at those to do that, so I
I'm-
didn't even try.
morally opposed to list comprehensions, so I'm not going to do it that way. Um,
So could you do return the set of self.orders.customers?
tell me more. Yeah. So let's keep this for later. Tell me more. Love a set.
Just want to making sure when I read through the association method. Yeah, so coffee and both coffee and customer has orders, and then coffee has customers, customer has coffees.
Mhm.
So both coffee and customer has an order list
Mhm.
property that contains all the orders associated with each one.
Mhm.
So my thinking is if you return the set, which take the unique lists
Yep.
of the self.orders, which returns all the orders dot then the other one. So for coffee it would be dot customers. For customer it would be dot coffee. It would return every shoot. I'm getting mixed up by trying to generalize it to coffee and customers. So
Yeah,
within coffee, within coffee,
Mhm.
you return or self.orders.customers would give all the customers for every order for that given coffee. And if you do the set of that, it will return all the unique customers for every order of that coffee.
So tell me how to do that.
Set and then parentheses self.orders.customers.
Yeah.
And
great.
then you probably want to call them as a method, right? So dot orders as a method.
I'm just going off of the private one, but yeah, let's use our interface that we built. Why not? Yeah, they should return the same thing.
And then we're going to make customers a method as well in customer.py later for the deliverables.
Let's see if that works. That is not even giving us the orders. What did I do?
So I think my method requires us to define the same opposite thing in customer.py as well before this would work.
So what is customers returning here?
So in my case, I wrote essentially this customer's definition, this method as coffee in the customer.py class. So that the customers or the coffee method in customer.py returns all the coffees associated with the orders that customer placed.
Mhm.
While the customers method in coffee.py returns all the customers who ordered that coffee.
Right.
We haven't defined the customers method within, or the coffee method within. Wait, no, we haven't defined the customers method within. I'm getting confused.
Yeah. So
hold on.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yes. So what is self orders giving us here? What does this return?
A list of the order objects
Is there
that contain coffee.
Is there a dot customers method on a list?
Oh, there is not a dot customers method within order, which is where it would be. It would be the property dot customers.
So
right?
Yeah,
or
so
dot customer.
Problem number one. Problem number two is what does set return? Clearly.
Unique values.
I mean, what
within
type,
a collection? Oh, it's a set.
Yeah, and what are we looking for from?
Are they looking for a list specifically in the test?
Specifically for a list, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, my wouldn't work.
But this is the right direction, I think. So I think what I would do is first I would look up if we can get a list from sets. I think we can get list from Python set.
Could you just convert it?
Yeah, I think that should be list.
And close it in the list. Just list.
Yeah, just list.
And then set. And then
that's right. Didn't think it'd be. It's always the inside out. So I'm always expecting it to be a method because Python's object oriented, but it's not. So list set, and then if this was our set of customers, that would be great. However, or I'm sorry, if customers was a method on the list here, that would be great, but it isn't. So we have a list, and we want to get, we have a list of orders, and we want to get a list of customers from that. What are some ideas of turning one list into another list?
Map.
I would use map. Yes. Python people might use list comprehension. I don't know exactly how that would work here. Oh, maybe that would work. Well, I'm going to do map first because that's the way I like it. So I would say map self orders. And I need to give it a function. And is it the same syntax here? What's my, yeah, oh God, I use lambda, geez. So just like arrow functions in JavaScript, we can do anonymous functions here. It's just a little clunkier. It's called the lambda for dumb reasons. And lambda is basically the same as doing an arrow function. We're just going to say order goes to, it's not a rocket. Yeah, goes to order customer. Cool. And what did I miss here? Map set list. There we go. So this is just kind of stacked up. We have our list of orders. We're going to map that list of orders onto a list of customers using this little arrow function, basically. We're making that a set to make it unique, and then we're turning it back into a list to get a list out of that set. I feel like this is going to work. Let's find out. It might blow up. Nope, did not work. Why didn't it work?
The map function in Python has the function first and the iterable second.
Of course. Why not? Why wouldn't it do that? Not self. Sorry, get loopy. Yeah, of course that. Yeah, Dutch inside out. And where do we go? Coffee. There we go. Yeah. So there we go. All our customers are. Yep. So we did it. So both ways work. And I'm sure a list comprehension would work as well. I would definitely have to look up how to do those because I, again, am revulsed by them, so they don't stick in my brain. But I have functional programming brain, so my go-to is when I'm mapping an array to another array, I'm going to use map. That's just the way it works for me. And then set is a way to make it unique. List is a way to get that from the set. That doesn't mean the other way is wrong. Depending, so basically whenever you see this pattern, this is called an iterator pattern. When you set up an empty list, loop through it, and then either do something to it or turn it into another thing, pushing stuff onto the list, filtering it on something, and then returning the list that was empty originally. That's an iterator method, and those can almost always be replaced by map, filter, reduce, maybe a sort, maybe not. I mean, you could, I guess. So pretty much anytime you see yourself doing this, think about, is this a map? Is this a filter? Those are gonna be the two main ones. But it works. And if this is the most readable way to do it for you, that is the right way to do it for you. If this makes absolutely no sense to you, don't use it. This is just the way and it's one line instead of 5 lines. So in my brain, it's easier to read, but if you're not used to this syntax, it's not. So use what is easier for you. Cool. So that passes. Questions? Awesome. And if this wasn't required to be unique, we could leave this part off. We could just do the map, but it is. So it looks like on customer, it's going to be kind of the same thing. We're returning let's get it up here. We're returning a list of all the orders the customer has ordered, and we're returning a list of all the coffees the customer's ordered through those orders. So we're basically just doing the same thing here. So I'm going to kind of look through that. So we're going to do self orders, empty list. We're going to, when we, yeah, let's do this function here. And this is going to be exactly the same function. Cool. So when we add an order, we're going to add the orders to that. And we want that method here. Because we are copying and pasting code here, which I don't always recommend, especially in Python, because that happens. Because we have two different objects that have the exact same code in it, this is where I would probably think about, twice. Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna have to write the same code in two places. It might be a lot of code, but I can manage. If it's three places, I would definitely think about refactoring into a class that we subclass out of. So I would make I don't even know what a thing that has orders class that the customer and coffee inherit from, or write a little curly what do they call them in Python again? We just did them yesterday. Decorator. Write a little decorator for this class, so I can say, hey, take this class and add an orders array and add these two methods to it. So I don't have to do it every time, especially if you have, if you know, like, oh, I'm going to wind up doing this to a bunch of different classes. And then you would have to also decorate the order class. And then it sounds like we're starting to write our own ORM, which if we had an extra week, we would definitely do, but we don't. So looking at this, the developer who would be working on this project for more than an hour would definitely want to start building that out like that. But we're going to be using libraries and stuff that basically replicate that, so we don't have to. But just a thought, when you get that itch when you add the same code to multiple classes, that you should probably think about how to abstract that out. Because if you have to write 10 classes like that and have to change something, you have to change it in 10 places, and it's just a mess. Cool. So the other piece we have to do here is add that customer add order. So when we do that, it's calling customer add order. It's appending the order to the orders there. Orders is going to give us that. And I'm just going to grab the same thing here. Also, one line to copy paste instead of a bunch. Return, and that's probably going to need a function name too. Fine, I'll do it myself. Def customers. Tab all that out. Self colon. A colon should be there. Awesome. So we basically just did the same thing in the other end of the little triangle there. And yeah, if we understood it over there, this should be pretty good. Let's run those tests and look at all our new green stuff. Cool. So customers work still, and coffees work. Great. Or coffee works still, customers work. Yeah, the best to check all your stuff before assuming that the stuff you wrote before still works, because you never know what you're going to break. Cool. So any question about these bits here? Awesome. And so this is like the heart of what we're doing, right? We are creating these relationships between objects, and if we have a class that's binding the other classes together, we're going to have to do some handling there. The other thing you could do, I guess, it would break encapsulation and be gross, but you could also put lists like a class. No, forget I said that. Bad idea. Not even going to talk about it. Cool. So we only have a couple more methods to write. We have our relationships all set up, and we're going to let me look at it on the screen. We're going to look at our aggregate and association methods. Basically, they're just methods on we're just doing customer and coffee classes, right? Yeah, great. So we are adding a create order method to a customer, which is an interesting choice. And yeah, that's an interesting choice. And a number of orders and an average price orders on coffee. And since we've set up all these relationships and all these little helper methods, these should be pretty easy to implement. So let's go ahead and do them in order. First with, close this out. First, I'm just gonna delete this for now. Oop, clear it up. But that's still good code, still works, it's fine. So on coffee, we're going to make on customer, we're going to make a create coffee, create order. So it's interesting. And this is why order is imported up here, because we're going to need to use it. So basically, we're just using the customer to create orders. If I were designing this interface, I would make it a class method on order to say create order with a coffee and price. That's not what it's asking for. So let's do what it asks for. How do we create a new order?
You just call capital O order and then
Mhm.
give the parameters.
Yeah.
You would need to include self in the function definition as well, or the method definition.
In the, say it again?
In create order, you'd add self in there so you can add self into the order in it.
Oh, say that last part again. Sorry.
Sorry, the order initialization method requires a customer coffee and price.
Mhm.
So adding self into the create order parameters allows you to put self into order.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So looking for a customer coffee price there. Yeah, I would definitely put it in and make a class method here. I don't know why it's doing it for the customer. Not my job. My job is just to implement the specs. So here we go. It was on customer. Customer can create order. We have a tiny, tiny little green dot. That's great. Customer has many coffees. Did that fail? Oh, we didn't do the coffees on customer. And that's going to be the same as on so we didn't. Oh no. Yeah. This is the problem with cutting and pasting. There we go.
Also, the actual return value ordered up.
Thank you. This is why we don't copy paste. Oh no, what did I do here? Oh no, it's the same thing. Okay. Customer. Great. So we have create price. All of our dots are green there. We just need to do our number of orders and average price on coffee. Great. Question about creating a new order here. I have questions, but I would probably return this order. I don't know if that's going to break the tests. That's just me knowing programming. Customer, great, yeah. Because I imagine if I'm creating an order, I want to hang on to it somewhere. I don't know. So yeah, we're doing that. But not required. Let's go back to coffee. Coffee is going to num orders and average price. Let's just bust those out. So number of orders should be pretty straightforward, right? Tell me how you did this or how you would do it.
I didn't get around to doing this part yet, but I imagine that ideally you would use some sort of reduce operator here.
So we,
Oh, sorry, for num orders. For num orders, just length.
yeah,
Just call the length of the orders. For
Yeah.
average price, I would want to reduce somehow, but I don't know actually how to do that.
it's not a real language. It's not a real language. Cool. And let's just double check that that works. No.
Orders method or protected property underscore.
Yes. Great. There's one. Where that is. Okay, cool. Average price then. And again, multiple ways to do it. Is there a reduce in Python? Or I think it's called something else, right? No, it's reduce. I bet it's backwards too, right? Yeah, nothing. Operator and with. Okay. Oh, it's also accumulate. You know what? I'm going to do it the long way. There's reduced, but you have to import it for some reason. They had it in the language and they took it out of the language and put it in a library to make it harder to use because it's not Pythonic. I love it. I love it so much. So I'm going to do the long form iterator pattern then. I'm just going to, and I don't need to add it to the class. I'm just going to say total price. I guess we'll do underscores. Total price is 0. How would you get the, how would you add the, well, let's do your 4. We're looking at the price of the coffees based on the orders. The orders will want the price, okay? So for order in self orders, total price plus equals price. And then we can just say return total price divided by length self orders. I feel like that's going to work. Do we feel like that's going to work? 95% sure. Great. What is this? What is this here? Order class all attribute. Did we miss one? Nope. That test is probably, as someone guessed before, left over from the Yelp lab, which I guess this was copy pasted from. Super great. Get all orders. Weird. Order all. Yeah, it doesn't ask for an order.all. So, hey, look, I passed all the tests. Hooray. Easiest way to pass a test. Comment it out.
How would you do that? Because that seems to be a method within order.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
or would that be a class method?
That's a class method, yeah.
Okay.
So let's put it, let's put it back. So in order, we would have we'll just keep a list of all the orders here. So orders equals an empty list. Then we can make a class method. And we're going to say call it all. And we can, why does it give me red? Okay, yeah. We can just, return self orders. I feel like that's going to work. Nope. Why not? That's all attributes. What am I getting here? That feels like it should work. What did I do wrong?
Does the actual syntax of having class instead of self matter?
You know what? It shouldn't, but I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? Nope, it doesn't. Yeah, I was afraid that was conflicting with the other self stuff.
You didn't actually push anything to orders.
I didn't actually push anything to orders. That's why. So this would be in init, right? So orders, and it's going to be order.
It's append.
It's append. It's append because why not? Nope. Still feel like we're getting close.
I think it wants it to be called all instead of orders at the top.
It wants this to be called all.
Yeah, I think so.
For real.
Yeah, that was also an issue in the Yelp lab.
They mentioned it in the video that caused issues.
Really? Oh no. Orders all. That's why we want private variables, private parameters there. So you can't go in there and look at how we're doing.
Maybe not.
I think you also need to, in the return at the end, you're doing cls.orders. Maybe.
Here. Oh yeah, that's right. That's why it's just erroring out instead of failing the test. Greens. Nope. Oh, so close. What did I do? Feels like something else broke when I did this. There's a lot of red. Okay. Debugging by commenting things out until it starts working. So let's see if hey, look at that. Oh yeah, because we don't want to gross. Cool. So all is just a property on order that anyone can read and write to. That's great. That's a really good design. But it passes. It passes. Yeah, because we're just using that as a array that's hanging out there. And yeah, why would anyone want to push an order to that ever? I don't know. Python, great. So that's how that does it. And to be fair, is not looking for an array, is looking for a property. We could do the Giddy City properties thing here. We could do that. I think, does that work with class properties? I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It might not. Probably totally worth investigating. Yeah, so that's how we would do that all there. Basically, it's basically the same thing as we're doing with the other ones. We're creating a list, only this time it's on the class instead of on the instance. And I probably would make it so if I was designing this, which I'm not, I would probably make the create order a class method of order. And or what, why would you want an additional method on that when you can just call order? That's such a weird. This is such a weird design choice. I don't know why you would ever want to do that.
I think the thinking is like it mimics real life in that the customer orders the coffee and not like the coffee creates an order for a customer.
I guess,
you know, but like I feel like the mapping relationships to real life breaks down.
Yeah, I mean, I would just call that instead of this is basically just a little wrapper function around that, right? Interesting design choice. It's not my job to question it. Cool. That makes my life so much easier. I was like, oh, that's stupid, but it's not my job. Cool. So that is the practice challenge. We got through that in an hour and 15, talking about all the stuff. So I would say this is going to be really, really close, very close to the actual challenges. The actual challenge may have more of the methods on the end here, more aggregate methods, but probably not too many more. And it'll be the same kind of thing, like total all these things, average all these things, find the highest one in the list of this stuff. Yeah, and that's just Python. That's just attaching Python to methods, which hopefully you've gotten some practice with. Cool. I'm going to call it there. Any questions about this code before I stop sharing? All right, cool. There's everybody. Great. Do we have almost everyone here? I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stop recording. Thank you for watching.